video here on what might be the best deal I've found this holiday season. In testing out a different camera, the Nikon Z6 III, which I'll talk about more in another video, I was looking for some footage and some photos to compare to a similarly spec'd sensor, like that 26 megapixel range sensor, and went back 2 or 3 years. As I looked at the footage, I realized that my favorite pictures and video came out of this camera. Well, the SL2 and this camera, but basically this camera. And I looked at all kinds of footage from Nikon cameras, Sony cameras, Panasonic cameras, Canon cameras, everything, Hasselblads. I just really liked Leica color science and the way video looks coming out of these cameras. It's very similar like the S1H, if that's a helpful data point. But the Leica colors are a little bit better between those generations of cameras. But looking at all that stuff, overall, the favorite images and favorite video of mine came out of this camera. So I don't know if it's like a weird algorithm thing or what, Amazon's watching me, but I was scrolling for something else and I saw that this camera, the Leica SL2-S, was selling for $2,500 new. The seller said it was new, but I think it might have been open box. Like the camera came without a hot shoe and was missing some of the paperwork, I think. And it didn't have the outer box, like the brown or gray cardboard box that Leica cameras usually come in. But otherwise, this seemed pretty darn new. No marks or scratches, and all the buttons and dials are nice and tight. So, I mean, for like less than half of the original selling price, I think. What a deal. So, as soon as I got it out of the box, I slapped on some screen protectors. I slapped on this little sticker here, a little black circle to cover the red logo. I think it looks so much better this way. It's all blacked out that way. I'll put a link in the description below where you can get these little black stickers. They work great. As soon as it gets nasty, I take it off. I put another one on because it comes with a whole sheet of them. You may have seen me say this in other videos, but I actually kind of prefer this body size to the SL3. There's just something about this grip that fits my hand much better. My fingers just kind of fall where they're supposed to, and it feels good in the hand, despite the heavy weight of the camera. It shoots well in low light. It is contrast detect autofocus only, so it can be wonky, not good for shooting fast subjects. And I'd forgotten about this, but was reminded going through the menus and setting this thing up. This is a cinematic beast. I mean, the cinema features in here, like Nikon, Canon, and to a certain extent, even Sony haven't caught up to in their mirrorless camera bodies. No shutter angle, no ASA, and some of them no unpaid aspect ratio changes. So, I mean, it's a pretty impressive set of video features in here, I'm sure thanks to Panasonic. It's got shutter angle, it's got ASA, it's got different aspect ratios. I mean, the SL2S has waveforms. The contrast and just overall image quality coming out of this is fantastic. I would say it's better than what comes out of a Sony, Nikon, or Canon camera right out of the gate. Of course, with DaVinci Resolve and LUTs and RAW and all that stuff, you can make almost camera look identical to another, but just straight out of camera, a gorgeous image. You take a LUT, you throw on the Blackmagic LUTs, or you can download the Leica LUTs. I'll put links for those in the description below. Earth LUTs are pretty good also for this. I can put the links for those down there. And man, you've just got a great cinema camera with not the best autofocus, but good enough for this kind of thing, talking head videos. And the editing workflow is much easier because the image quality is so nice coming out of here. Even with these like cheaper, Panasonic zooms that are like a couple of $100 used each. I mean, especially if you put this Leica M adapter L on here and use M glass, I think this might be my favorite Leica, even for photography. I might even like it better than the M11 series. The viewfinder is gorgeous. It's 5-something dots. They say it's the same viewfinder as the SL3, but I think somehow this looks slightly better. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's the way they tuned it or something. I don't know. Back screen is gorgeous. But yeah, like, I think this might be my favorite Leica. This whole package Well, not with this lens, but with like a lens like this whole package could be under $3,000. So, for under 3 grand, you can get a ripper of a cinema camera, probably the most enjoyable photo experience on the market. And you're in the Leica family, you're in the Leica community. So, maybe that's the way to buy a Leica. Just wait till the new version comes out and people have old stock they're trying to get rid of, and then pick one up. Of course, there's a few things I would change about this camera. One, there's no shutter that comes down to protect the sensor when you're changing lenses. That drives me nuts. I can hear it moving around in there, so I know they could do it with firmware, and they just haven't. I would love to see a spinny wheel here for your forefinger. I think they didn't do this on the SL3 also, and that's a real miss. That would have been way better than anything else. I do like the other dial on the SL3, but I would take not having that dial if I could just get another spinny wheel here up front. And then, of course, the big elephant in the room is the contrast-based autofocus. It's just not that good. We've moved on to phase detect. That works better. It is what it is. I would take an update to the sensor, but this sensor is awfully good. I think this is the same sensor that was like in the Leica M10, that's in the S5 II. It performs pretty good, except for fast-moving subjects. It's kind of like all I really need, especially when I have medium format cameras for like high-end, high-resolution studio work. So I don't know. I think I found my favorite Leica again.